iFanboy is brought to you by GoDaddy.com and Iverse Media.
Like half the girls here have wings. What does that mean?
I am here with Jimmy Palmiotti and Darwyn Cooke. Howdy.
How you doing?
It's a lovely morning.
It's a beautiful morning. Thanks for joining us.
In our room.
Now, we slept here. Anyway, now you guys are doing the 50th big issue of Jonah Hex a little while from now.
Yeah, not too far away. That's December. That comes really quick.
When you've got a big issue like that, you've got so many really great artists that have been on that book and everything. Right. But you two are obviously close and want to do the big book together?
Well, it's the 50th issue of not only the first thing Justin and I have ever written up to issue 50, so that's for us. It's also, a big year for Jonah Hex with all the movie and all this stuff going on. But the 50th issue is always a big deal. Mm-hmm. And we just felt that for the 50th issue, we just couldn't get the normal guys to work on it, and we went to Darwyn Cooke because we needed some brilliance. We needed to look brilliant, and we need, our books are always about storytelling, and we the artists we shoot for are heavy-duty, hardcore storytellers. And Darwyn, if we could get a book out of him every year, we.
In other words, Jordy Bernay wasn't available.
Jordy was, no, that's not true. He's doing the issue after.
I just want to give him all the credit. He's the real Jonah Hex artist, if you ask me.
But yeah, we figured, since nobody else was using Darwyn, we figured we'd give him a job with Jonah Hex. And
he's got to eat.
He's got to eat, otherwise he comes over my house and starts eating. So yeah, absolutely.
Now, 50 issues on a Western, on a mainstream company. That's no small thing. I can't think of my lifetime when that's happened. What's the secret?
Well, the first time Hex came out, it happened, so that's pretty good. But
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. The secret, I think, is to respect the audience, keep challenging yourself with every story. Don't do the same old thing over and over. And again, he's a wonderful character, so it's kind of easy to write these stories. The appeal of it is something that it's just like anything, like Darwyn says, I just enjoy it. So we write it for ourselves. Justin and I write it for ourselves, and we're glad other people are enjoying it in the process. But we don't really write it for the audience exactly. We kind of keep challenging ourselves, and that's something that happens afterwards. But we kind of write it for ourselves first, and then.
One of the things about Jonah Hex that I find is that you're always putting him at a crossroads where he's about to do something honorable or despicable, and like it seems to me like the choice has to be that he can't do a completely honorable thing. He just can't. So do you find yourself getting to like a crossroads with a character and go, well, we have to do this because he's not a good guy?
No, you know what? It's really easy to write him because he's like, what he does is the shit that I like to do. Like he'll instead of talking to the guy, just shoot the guy in the head. Would be so much easier instead of getting in line, just pushing people out of the way and walking in. You kind of get to know the character, and you kind of know how he's going to think. There's honor in some of the stuff he does. I mean, but at the end of the day, he's a real drunken bastard that is just trying to make money off of other people's misery, and putting other people out of their misery. He's not a hero in any sense of the word. He's all about himself. I mean, the few times we have him actually collecting a bounty, what's the first thing he does when he gets money?
Gets drunk.
Picks up a whore. Okay, now, who wouldn't want to do that on a daily basis? I mean, honestly, if every Thursday we got paid a paycheck, right?
Go get drunk and pick up a whore.
Get drunk and pick up a whore. So it's kind of easy to write that kind of character. Yeah.
I think that he's the type of character you can just insinuate into any story. So what I find cool is the stories are interesting, and you don't have to figure out maybe what Hex is going to do. You just put him in the story, and he's going to react to the situation around him. So I find a lot of it has to do with the characters and the plot outside of Hex. And then he's like this agent of arbitrary misery that visits upon whatever story it is they're telling.
You just had The Last Resort come out also with your partner Justin Gray, covered by Darwyn.
Yep.
I don't want to make this, but it was like a surprise. Like it was a zombie book that I was really interested in.
Well, yeah, we were trying to look at it as not so much a zombie book as opposed to how it can kill a bunch of people on a really nice vacation island, because I haven't had a vacation in like 2 years, and
I think it's like an Irwin Allen movie.
It's exactly like an Irwin Allen movie where we get to meet everybody and you get to realize you're part of their lives, and then we get to rip their heads off and eyeballs out, and we looked at it. I like character development. I also like to read. And I just feel when I buy comics these days, I read them in a minute. Mm-hmm. And nothing drives me crazier than a fight scene where the guy goes, "Oh yeah," and the guy goes, "Let me show you where I live," and then it's like 18 pages of that, and and a double page splash, and it's just like, what?
He hurled that solid oak desk as if it was made of tissue paper.
Right.
As if it were weightless.
Right. These chains won't hold me, And I was just like, I just want something I can dig in and read, and actually is fun, and also because IDW said, do anything you want. So we have some sex, we have some violence. I want. We don't have sex in comics anymore. There's really not much. When's the last time you saw a nipple ring in a comic? Archie? Okay, other than Archie, back in the 80s, when Archie had nipple rings.
100 bullets?
100 bullets, right. And it's a very limited, so we built it up like an Irwin Allen production, and basically the setup is, the first issue is a lot of setup. Mm-hmm. And then for the next 4 issues, we kind of ripped the place down.
I even noticed that the design and the cover and everything, it doesn't look like a zombie book. And so, I mean, for one hand, you're not really going for that zombie cliche thing, and so that was one of the things I really liked. Was everybody was like, "Oh, this isn't like all those other things." I mean, it felt like a '70s movie. We're like, "Oh, everyone's fine."
Well, there's so many zombie books. Let's be honest. So there's Walking Dead. Marvel did those Marvel zombies, and they're still milking that. Mm-hmm. And now DC is doing zombies. It's really quicker than to grab onto that zombie train. And not picking on DC, it's just like there's zombies everywhere. Okay,
Jonah Hex comes out from what company?
What's that, from DC? Wow. All I'm saying is, it seems like there's this trend here, and then they go over there and do it. Now, I'm expecting next year to see Marvel Comics do Thursday comics or a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? It's just, to me, it's just a tennis match back and forth. What I do. So anyway, there's a million zombie books, is what I'm saying, and I'm not up to date on the DC zombie stuff, so I'm not sure if it's really zombies or it's just
zombies.
Is it?
A little zombie Green Lanterns.
Is it? Well, if Jeff is doing it,
it's good. But...
Right. So there you go. And to that, right? If something's good, even though it's being done
sure.
by a lot of people, if it stands out and it's good, then it's a welcome, and it's a welcome thing.
And speaking of DC, you're doing Power Girl.
Yes, with Amanda, and that's a lot of fun, and Justin as well. And
how do you make that book not all about boobs, which is what it seems like a lot of people want, but you're making a real character.
When your life is about boobs, in your work you tend to no, I don't. It's funny because Amanda will add that stuff before I will. He'll back me up on this. Amanda will go and push the envelope in that way before I even get there. And so that's wonderful about her. And again, we have a woman drawing the comic, so all of a sudden we can get away with more because it's Amanda doing it. It's sort of like if the pro wasn't by Amanda, it might have been trouble.
Right.
Okay, but because it was by her, it was extra dirty. But with Power Girl, it's not about the boobs. I mean, the first issue we do a little nod because Jeff wrote those 4 issues that Amanda did of Power Girl, and those are amazing. And those were great, and those sold like gangbusters. And we kind of looked at what Jeff did on there and said, all right, Jeff really hit the nail on the head on how this character should be done. And we just took it further. We're just pushing it, beyond, because he had the story he had to stick to. Now it's in her own book, and we need to establish her stuff. And so far so good. I mean, we're only 3 issues out, but the fans seem to like it. So yeah.
Anything else that you got going on that we need to mention?
I love DC Comics.
I figured you did. I wanted
do.
to make sure I mentioned that. How do you feel about DC?
I love DC Comics too. Hi, Paul.
So you got a new book here. You have Killed Me,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
With Joelle Jones.
Yeah, it debuted at the show, and it's actually on sale everywhere on Wednesday, but the first place most people got it was here.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit of a noirish book. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's both Joelle and I, we really are fans of the hard-boiled crime genre. Interestingly enough, it's backwards. The artist read all the books, like the Chandler books and then the Dashiell Hammett, whereas I was the writer, was a big fan of the movies, so I was into the visuals, she was into the writing. We decided we wanted to do that kind of thing, a 1930s private detective story. It's a sort of a locked room mystery where a debutante disappears from a room with no windows and only one door. And her former fiance is a private detective now, and her little sister tries to hire him to find her because she's supposed to marry another man in a week. And so he starts to go through then the rigmarole of finding her and discovering all the dark secrets that are hiding in.
Right. And then what I was really impressed by the book, I got a chance to look at it, was kind of how the mystery kind of unfolds, how we get introduced to new characters and how the story developed from there.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a fascinating thing for me to write because what I discovered as I got into it was, you really just have to sort of point your main character in a certain direction, get him to meet other characters, and each one of them will tell him something new that will send him on his way. And so it kind of naturally progresses that way to where everybody gives new information, and you just kind of follow the trail.
Yeah.
And then for a while I didn't know, I wasn't sure who was going to be the culprit at the end. I had multiple ideas, and I was like just going to leave it open and see where it took me itself. So I kind of discovered it with him.
Yeah. Well, now you're writing stuff. You've worked with Joelle before, 12 Reasons Why I Love Her, which is a book I loved.
Right.
A little bit more of a romance book, kind of relationship book. How is it to write a more of a mystery or a detective kind of story?
It was very daunting at first, and I got really good advice from Matt Wagner, because one of my favorite books is Sandman Mystery Theater that he did for Vertigo. And I'd never really written a plot-heavy book before. The relationship stuff you can go all over, and he said, don't worry about the plot. Pick one and then just make your characters. And so that freed me up. But in reality, what I sort of started to discover was that a lot of the themes that my characters had gone through in my other books, including my novels, was this thing of searching for something. Whether you're searching for a romantic partner, or you're searching for your purpose in life, or you're trying to find a woman who's disappeared, it's that idea of I want to stick by certain ideals. I want to make the world work around me, even though it's pushing against me. So once I kind of figured that kind of stuff out, and then I figured out how I was going to do the narration, that all sort of fell into place for me.
Very cool. So you and Joelle are going to keep working together? You guys announced a new book here at the con?
We did. We co-created a series called Spell Checkers, and it's a sort of young adult, raunchy high school comedy with magic. It's about 3 witches who take over their high school. So we're working with a French artist, Nicolas Hattori-Day, who is really, really talented and is going to surprise a lot of people. So he's drawing the main parts of the book, and Joelle is doing the covers and flashbacks to the girls when they're little, and they're actually learning about their powers and starting to terrorize their town. So it's going to probably be a series of several books, and the idea is, just keep the comedy rolling. No hugs, no learning, no lessons at the end. Everybody stays bad. That's the way we're going with it. So
cool. It sounds fun, and it's more aimed at a younger audience, or?
It's one of those things where younger audiences are going to find it really funny. Some parents might not, but it's if you enjoy movies like Heathers and Mean Girls, it's in that sort of variety to where it should hopefully go all across the board for who can read it. And
cool.
So.
Excellent. So quickly going back to You Have Killed Me, you and I share a lot of musical tastes. The title of the book, inspired by Morrissey?
Yes, and I didn't actually think that I was going to get asked that, and everybody seems to know that song. And
Well, it's a newer one.
But that's what I kind of thought. Was like, well, is everybody paying attention to him still? But I had a title that was going to be called The Big Empty, and that title was a movie a couple of years ago. So I decided I can't use that, and I had no title. And one day I was walking home and listening to the song, and I actually had been hanging out with Joel, and I was listening to the song going, "You have killed me, that's it."
Hey, Gordon, what are you doing?
I'm reading comics.
On your iPhone?
I am.
What are you using?
Iverse.
Iverse Media is the leading comics distributor for digital comics on your iPhone. They've got a great new release on their iPhone app. It's version 3.0, where you can download all your comics into one single app and watch and read them whenever you want to. If you've purchased comics through Iverse before, it works with the new application. It's pretty awesome. You want to check it out, go to iversecomics.com. And they've been here at the con, and they made some news.
Yeah, something about Archie.
Yeah, there was a panel the other day where they announced that they're launching a digital comics library site for Archie comics, which is a great way to get kids like your nieces and nephews or cousins or little ones to start reading comics. So just go to archiedigital.com and you can check it all out there.
It's amazing.
Yes. Iverse is the future of digital comics on your iPhone and online. So be sure to check them out, iversecomics.com, archiedigital.com. And we thank them for sponsoring this episode.
I'm here with John Layman and Rob Guillory. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Very good.
A little tired, but we're doing fine.
Well, that's how it works at a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
One of the big breakout books at Image that I've seen in a while has been Chew. What's it been like at this show? It must be pretty great.
It's. I've never had a con like this. We had a stack of 100 plus of the third printing and second printing sold out on the first day, and now outrageously priced first printings are going, and he's burned through his sketchbooks.
Are you doing a lot more sketches than you had been?
Yeah, I definitely need a nap. No, it's been awesome, man. I mean, everybody's kind of into it, and it's very surprising, to say the least. But no, it's been awesome. So this is the last of them, so it's nap time.
All right, cool.
So.
Now, I guess one of the things that stands out about you is that it's a really interesting and unique concept that you don't see in comic books very much. For people who don't know, why don't you explain what Chew is?
Okay. Tony Chew is a detective, a federal agent who gets psychic impressions from the things he eats. So he can eat a hamburger and see the cow being slaughtered and where the lettuce was raised and how the bun was prepared. Or he can go to a crime scene and eat a murder victim and tell who the killer is. So the really short high concept is cannibal CSI.
Okay. Where did the psychic food eater thing come from? Did it just pop in your head one night when you were having a meal?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's more than this, as you'll see in future issues. It's a book about food, and it's a very food-centric book, and that was just an aspect to it that sort of came into the forefront because I thought, oh, this is cool. I've never heard of this before. Let's do it. But where the specific idea came from, no idea.
Now
I can't remember.
Now the world that they live in is a little bit. It's a different world. Things have changed. The FDA is sort of the big powerful agency because of the way that things have changed. Did you keep in it's not post-apocalypse, but it's different than the world we live in. Did you keep that in mind when you were designing things and going through it?
Yeah. I mean, it's little background things, which I'm very nuance oriented. Mm-hmm. So I'll have little posters and things, in the background, kind of anti-poetry and things like that. But for the most part, it's not incredibly futuristic. It's John kind of says it's always 3 or 4 years away from where we are now. But in future issues, there are a few a bit more futuristic things popping up.
Yeah, I guess so.
But for the most part, I think it's just I like modern stuff, and I think I do it well. So it's really not that far-fetched, I think. The world is just a bit twisted.
Yeah.
Which is just my view of it, I guess.
Now, when you heard the idea, did you instantly think like this? Did it take you a little while to wrap your head around how you could draw some of this stuff, like the food flashbacks?
Absolutely. Well, when I originally heard the high concept, I thought, well, what is this? He actually kind of vaguely explained it to me in terms of, your first email said it's a police procedural with elements of sci-fi and horror and things of that nature. And I thought, well, that sounds incredibly boring. And then he said well, yeah, it's a guy who gets visions from food. It's well, what? And then I was a big fan of Puffed and some of his previous stuff, so I thought, okay, let's see what's going to happen here. But as soon as I read the script, it was very vivid. I knew exactly, I knew for the most part how I wanted to do it. So,
well, it looks to me like a book that it looks really interesting, and on top of having a really interesting concept, when you start getting pages back for something like that, you're just, this is great. This is exactly what I thought.
Yeah. And I knew what I wanted from an artist going into this because it's kind of horrific. A different artist could make it a really ugly book and a really unpleasant book, and there are ugly and unpleasant things, but the fact that it's drawn in kind of a light, almost cartoony style.
I like that. It makes up for some of the more being forced to eat flesh of the dead.
It makes it fun and it makes it funny, and we want you to enjoy the book rather than being like brought down, or if you're nauseated, you're kind of laughing at the same time.
Yes. One of the things this book sold out.
Yeah.
The copies are selling on eBay for a lot of money. That's very unusual for now, and it's very unusual for an image book.
Yeah, we don't understand it. It's not right.
And then you got reprinted in the back of The Walking Dead. I mean,
well, we're on our third reprint of issue 1, which comes out on August 5th, and it's already sold out at a distributor level.
Wow.
Massively sold out. So it's going to be like a Russian bread line. I don't think stores will get everything they ordered, and
it's nice to be in demand.
Yeah. It's not nice when your readers can't get your book.
Sure.
And so Robert Kirkman and Eric Stevenson proposed the flip book, which it was before the Chew madness had really hit, and we're like, that sounds kind of crazy. And now it's a good thing, because if people wanted the book and couldn't get it for a long enough period, they'd say, okay, forget it.
Right.
I'll move on to the next thing. But by putting 30,000 copies out there for free, granted it's black and white, so it's not the real thing, but at least you get to hear what everybody's talking about.
Now, how long is this series going on for? How far are you planned out?
Well, I'm saying 60.
Okay.
I love Preacher, I love Why, Transmet, and I'd really like it's got an ending, and I know the ending, and I never write a book without knowing the ending.
Right.
But I'd like to take my time with it and have a nice long sort of epic.
So I'm here at Rance Hosley here on the con floor. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ron. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. So you made a big splash a couple of months ago at HeroesCon announcing Longbox to the public, and got a lot of people talking about it. How has that reaction been?
It's been fantastic. I mean, it's one of those things where we certainly had the perception in the back of our heads that this was going to be a big thing, and that people would be positively inclined towards it, and that it would be a good thing. But I don't think in our most kind of wild fanboy, imaginings that we would have anticipated the kind of positive reaction that we got. I mean, within 24 hours after the HeroesCon panel, we ended up with thousands of posts on Twitter from people who weren't there who were talking about it. We had an article go up on CNET last night talking about it, which was very, very cool, because a huge part of our marketing plan and our development plan is reaching a mass entertainment market for digital entertainment consumers.
Yeah.
So the really amazing thing to us was that we got over 100, and I stopped counting at that point, retweets of the CNET article.
That's great.
And following those back through the web, those weren't from comic fans.
Yeah.
Those were from either digital or tech blogs or different fans like that. So it's really been fantastic to see the word get out. It's been pretty insane.
Yeah, well, we were just talking earlier how you had 2 panels here at San Diego Con so far,
right.
But it seems as if every panel we go to, every booth we're in, people are the buzz of digital comics this is like the year where it's really a force.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I think, a kind of perfect storm situation where there are so many different aspects where the technology has become really, at a perfect state for it.
Yep.
You have a situation where the direct market needs expansion,
Yep.
And it needs alternatives in terms of outreach, rather than trying to keep, getting that gaffer's hook and hauling people into the comic stores. And, it really is a situation where there's been so much that's been established between groups like Netflix and Hulu and iTunes and Amazon digital content, where people expect now to be able to buy digital content, and they're really noticing very loudly the fact that they can't buy comics in digital form the same way that they buy TV shows and they buy movies and they buy music and all of that. So, and the publishers' reactions definitely reflect that as well.
Yeah. So with all the announcement stuff, this is, it's triggered a lot of opinions from people, both positive and negative. You've been very visible in terms of reacting. Like you've come over to iFanboy.com to respond to our folks and on other sites and stuff like that. How important is the connection with the fans and explaining what you guys are doing and make sure everybody's on board?
Well, I think it's huge. I mean, it's in some aspects, having spent 15 years in game development, it's in some ways similar to launching a game platform. When you compare it to every round of the console wars between Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo, and back in the day Sega, where you have your core base. You have your enthusiastic evangelists who love comics, who are passionate about it, who want to see the medium grow and really live for this stuff. Yeah. And as a fan myself, I totally understand that. Yeah. And that's a very key. It's not really marketing issue. That's a key demographic. Yeah. But it's a key group, because that's going to be the initial group that really either responds to it or says, "Oh, this is crap. What are I can't relate to this. I can't get into this." Right. So, and the reaction from them has been really insanely positive. I mean, not that the internet is full of snarky people or people that like to bash things, because none of us know anyone like that on the internet at all. But I honestly expected a higher degree of skepticism. Yeah. And it has been really gratifying and really rewarding to see the enthusiasm on the fan level for this, and we're very excited to get the beta build out and to get the final build out to everyone.
So that was my question. So now we've heard a lot about it. We've seen a couple panels. We've heard you talking about when can we get our hands on it? When are people going to be able to download their comics and use Longbox as a viable comic reading app?
The beta will be available next month. Okay. And around September, October, we will be releasing the first candidate for people to be able to purchase comics and, have everything that we've been talking about. Cool. And actually have it. And there's my biggest frustration is there's some amazing things going on right now, and I cannot talk about any of them. Yeah. And our COO David Turner's over there ready to beat me with a stick if I leak information that I'm not supposed to yet. But it's pretty mind-boggling. It definitely has ramped things up a couple of notches this last couple of weeks.
Well, I know all of our fans at iFanboy.com are waiting with bated breath for it to come out. So
I'll say this: for all of the iFanboy fans, we will get you beta codes.
There you go. We got it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
you. Appreciate it. All right.
Best to everyone.
Hey, Gordon. How you doing? Hello. So you had some ideas for some new websites, right?
I did. Yeah. My feet hurt at thecon.com.
That's a good one.
My back fell off at thecon.com.
Fell off?
Or numb. I'm not sure. It stopped hurting.
So if you need to register those domain names or set up those websites, you can go to our good friends at GoDaddy, who we want to thank for sponsoring this episode. They've got tons of great offers. If you go to revision3.com/GoDaddy and click on iFanboy, you can see all the iFanboy coupon codes. You get a percentage off your orders, dollars off your orders, all these bundles, so that your dream of myfeetAreGonnaDie.com can come true.
Awesome. Yeah. I love GoDaddy.
So revision3.com/GoDaddy. We thank you for sponsoring this episode.
I'm here with Matt Sturgis. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. You have a whole slate of stuff going on. Now, the JSA that you were doing with Bill Willingham has been changed up a little bit from what I understand. Now, it's a new title that you'll be doing?
It was always intended to be that way.
Okay.
It was always intended to be 2 books, and what we ended up deciding to do, long before we even started writing it, was that initially Jeff Johns was going to write up until the book split in 2. Mm-hmm. But then we talked about it and we decided that it would be more fun if Bill and I co-wrote the first arc with the JSA and how that all came to be. Because Bill and I work really well together as co-writers.
I've heard.
And we've done some other things. And it came together really well, and we're real happy with that. And what that allowed us to do was set up a lot of things in this JSA run that are going to pay off in the 2 books as they split off down the road.
Mm-hmm. Is it that you were just sitting there planning it out and you go, Jeff wrote too many new characters. We can't fit them in one book.
I can't speak for DC editorial, but that may well have been it. And there are so many characters, and a lot of them are really great. And some of them don't have any backstories. That they were just things that Jeff and his infinite creativity just kind of made up, and has left us mere mortals to work with. So I'm really thrilled. And some of the characters that you've seen in JSA that have kind of not had a chance to shine yet, they're really going to get a chance to shine. And especially in JSA All-Stars, where I'm taking a lot of the younger characters.
Right.
And so these are going to be people that we'll learn a lot more about very quickly.
So you get to sort of write the up-and-comers, people who are learning what they're doing. And
yeah,
stuff
exactly.
Like that.
Exactly.
Now we've been talking about. I feel like we've been talking about these books coming out forever, and you're just now on the verge. Probably by the time they see this, the first issue will be out, right?
Okay.
It's like next week, but that's when the next one is. How's it feel to finally have the book come out after it's been hanging around out there for so long?
Oh my God! Well, the first time we talked about it was at San Diego last year. Dan DiDio walks up to me. He's walking down the hall. He puts his hand on my shoulder. Says, "Matt, how do you feel about JSA?" And I'm like,
"Who are you?"
I love JSA. He's like, "Good," and then he just disappears. And then that's all I knew for a couple of weeks. And then we started talking. So yeah, it's been almost a year to the day since we started talking about the thing. So it's very much a relief, to actually it's finally coming out and people can finally read it and hopefully like it and keep buying it.
Now you also just wrapped up the Great Fables crossover.
Yes.
That is, how long? I mean, I assume you finished writing that a while ago, but it's all done. What did you think about after it was all done? Were you happy with the whole thing that came out? Do you feel like it did what you wanted it to?
We started talking about that last year as well, and that was something that Willingham and I got together. And one of the things that Bill and I do is we get on the phone and we just start throwing ideas back and forth and seeing what makes us laugh, what makes us think, should we do that? Can we do that? Will they let us get away with that? And we sort of hit on this idea for this crossover thing. And I think the folks at Vertigo had always kind of thought it might be cool to do something like that, but we always said, well, no, if we think of something that would be fun, we're not going to do it just to do it. And then we came up with this idea, and we thought it was, a really cool thing, a really cool way to sort of bring things together and sort of move artists around and move characters around and do things that we thought would be different and interesting. And I thought it came together really well. We had so much fun writing it.
I thought it was a really neat way to sort of. You talked about the ideas of storytelling. There was a lot of things about writing and how stories work involved in and commenting in a meta. I don't want to use that term, but in that kind of way. Did you ever worry that you were going to get too insular with stuff like that?
Well, here's the thing. That's something that some people have. When we were doing in Jack of Fables, we were doing a lot of stuff with these characters, the literals, and they were, sort of metaphorical concepts brought to life. And sometimes we got real metatextual with that, and we would have Jack doing things like addressing that, breaking the fourth wall, and doing funky stuff like that. And so I think what we wanted to do was kind of bring all that stuff to a head, really let it kind of explode in a shower of metatextuality, and then kind of, I don't want to spoil the ending for people who haven't read the crossover yet, but then to kind of, send it on its way, as it were. And so what you're going to find in Jack of Fables coming up, that things are going to be different in the Jack of Fables world as a result. That this is going to have very serious, lasting changes in how we tell stories in Jack of Fables and what the book is like. And if you've read the crossover and you saw Jack Frost, who is Jack's, love child, he is going to be a major player in that new series.
And then you're just finishing up Run with Freddie Williams, so I guess we'll then be moving on to the JSA book, and you'll be good to go. And that book's a lot of fun to me because it just keeps getting worse for the guy. And I would think a lot of times when your protagonist is somebody who's a bastard, it's not a lot of fun to read. But for some reason, yours is. Do you find when you get to the end of an issue, like how am I going to top this one? Or did you know what was going to happen all the way through it? Because each time you're putting a dude through the ringer.
It was a kind of thing where there was sort of you talk about editorial mandate. The mandate was always like how much can we do with this? How much of a jerk? And we really had very long conversations about how much of a jerk can we make this guy before he becomes so unlikable that no one would want to read about him. Because what makes him so interesting to me is that he is really this kind of lousy person, and you get to see how a really lousy person who is totally self-interested and maybe not that bright, and if he's got superpowers, how is he going to respond to that situation? and he's got, you know, like a bunch of people after him. And so he's running for his life, and surely hilarity will ensue.
It seemed like it would have been a lot of fun to put together.
Yeah, it was absolute blast, and it was great because our editor, Ian Sattler, gave a lot of really good creative input, and Freddie Williams, who's doing the art, is just doing a fantastic job of making it really kinetic. That's another thing we wanted from the book, was that we wanted it to be always in motion. That we always felt like if it ever got too static, you know, Ian would call me and he'd yell, "Run!" You know, to just kind of say, this has to be moving all the time, and that's something that it does. So I think it works really well, you know, as the way it came together with Freddie doing the art, and I'm real happy with the way it ends, and I think that people who were hurt by the Martian Manhunter's demise will appreciate the last page of the series. Not that I'm bringing Martian Manhunter back in the series, don't get me wrong, but there's a nice
packet of cookies falls.
Right. But there's a nice moment.
We're here for our annual chat with Mr. Robert Kirkman. How you doing?
Doing all right. You guys see me sometimes more than
We
once
see
a
you sometimes
year,
more
right?
than once a year. I think it's been a year, though, since the last time we chatted.
Except for New York in June, but not officially.
Right, not officially. Yeah, correct, yeah.
When we were hanging out.
We were hanging out on the streets of New York late at night.
Over at Ratner's place.
Yeah,
Chris Tucker
it was
came
crazy.
over. It was crazy, man. It was awesome. The cast of Chuck.
Who knew?
Yeah.
So big news here at the con with you, with working the McFarlane project finally getting off the ground. Haunt.
Yes, very excited. Coming out in October.
Yeah, how's
It's
that?
gonna be awesome.
That's like the super team of artists that you're working with in that one.
Yeah. It's like everybody just touches they just kind of tap the page as they move along, and we actually just line the pages up on a board, and then they just race, and they're just like running by each page. Greg Capullo, you know, fantastic Spawn artist for like 1,000 issues, is coming back to comics and doing our layouts. Cool. So that's pretty awesome. And then Ryan Otley, the artist who does a book called Invincible. I hear it's pretty good. He's doing the pencils on the series, and then Todd McFarlane is coming in. He's going to be inking the book, and I'm writing it. And Todd and I created the character. So
what can you tell us about the character in the book itself, from a story standpoint?
It's basically about this super awesome spy. It's like an espionage book, and that guy is trying to save the world, and he totally dies. And he's like, crap! I still got to save the world, but I'm dead. And so he ends up haunting his shitty brother, who's like this washed-up priest, alcoholic, that he's got the worst life in the world, and they're completely estranged. They don't talk. They hate each other, and he's got to work with his brother because he's a ghost. So the only person he can talk to is like a blood relation, because that's how ghosts work.
You found the manual?
Yeah, the handbook of the recently deceased. Yeah, but so he's basically working with that guy, and he's able to enter into our physical realm through his brother in the form of ectoplasmic shell that forms his superhero suit. Yeah. And he does a little ass kicking. It's pretty cool.
So it's a little espionage, a little superhero, a little
Like
mystical.
James Bond, Mission Impossible meets Ghost plus douchebag Hollywood speak. You know.
Is there a pottery scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Whoopi Goldberg's making a cameo. It's going to be
excellent, awesome, great. So, are you enjoying the mantle of being the guy to get Todd McFarlane and come back to drawing comics?
I mean, I don't know. Sure, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to say I got that guy doing whatever I say or anything, but, it's kind of like that. But, no, I'm kidding. No, I mean, I think it was time. I think that, I think he was ready to scratch that itch, and I just came along at a time that he needed some convincing. And it is kind of cool now with him being involved in, because, we started Haunt before he ever decided to take over Spawn. So we were already doing Haunt, and he was like, this comics thing.
I remember this.
I'm getting back into this. This feels good. I like this. And so then he took over Spawn, and he's been doing that with Wills, and now he's going to be drawing issue 200 of Spawn, which I'm very excited about. And
he's been drawing his character in Image United, which you wrote.
Oh yeah, he's doing a lot of work in Image United, which I had completely forgotten, despite this.
Enormous banner.
Okay, I can make it look like I'm hugging Die Hard if I try really hard. I just cut a hole in it and just stick my arm in it. Stay in frame, man. It's okay. We'll do this all right. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, there we go. So Image United, they have a preview book here at the con, and it's actually going to have a release date.
Yes, it's coming out in November.
Yep.
It's coming out in November. So,
are you done with it? Or
and then
is your
we're shipping it yearly after that?
It's gonna be excellent.
It's gonna be awesome. But no, it's really cool because these guys are all slow because they're all geniuses and they're all meticulous and blah blah blah. But it ends up being like one issue's worth of work for all the guys.
Right.
And so even these guys can get an issue out in 2 years.
Right.
So we're feeling very good about this, and it's going to be really awesome.
And are you done? You've written it? Are you done with it pretty much?
I am in the process. Hey, don't worry, buddy. I'll be out there in about 4 minutes. Keep it real. All right. Yeah. 4 minutes, right? Is this going to run more than 4 minutes?
That's up to you, man.
Whatever. I'm so popular.
This is hard. Everyone wants you. Wants them.
I got a buddy that's a comedian, and he goes, well, "This is gonna sound stupid if I say this, but I'm going for it." We were walking by, and people were coming and getting my autograph and stuff, and he goes, "This guy named John Roy, johnroy.com, hilarious."
Nice way to get the plug in.
Hey, he's a good guy. But we're walking along, and he goes, "You're like Prince here. What is going on?" It's like, I thought you were like a popular comic book writer, but Jesus, this doesn't make any sense.
Of all people, Prince.
Yeah. I think he's like 40. That's the only way that makes sense, right?
I guess so. Because the look, I mean,
Prince could walk around here right now and nobody'd care.
But Tyrese, and then people care.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
And I'm thin and handsome and effeminate like Prince.
And wearing assless pants.
Did he do that?
He did do that.
Wow, it's a bold move.
Prince, yeah.
I wore them yesterday. They're not very comfortable.
So Invincible. This past year has been a bloody year, you probably could say, with Invincible.
I've been working through some issues.
You have the headbutting alone.
Yeah, was that cool? Totally bit that chunk out of that dude. And, well, I mean, I wanted to show it's no holds barred. I'm gonna kill this guy. I can't believe can't believe he's killed Adam Eve because she's totally dead.
Right.
But and I just wanted to, show a guy just actually cut loose, and he couldn't fight him with his arms because his arms were broken, and so I headbutted him to death. I mean, what? That happens.
It was just repetitive.
So, I should point out that this year at Comic-Con, my voice crapped out at Thursday.
Wow.
And so that's why you get a lot of this.
we get Robert Kirkman in puberty.
Exactly.
Mr. Kirkman.
Yeah, this is just getting worse as I go through puberty again. I stink more. I had big dangly armpit hair. I'm turning into some kind of big fat caveman thing. It's awful. But
I think I saw someone dressed up like that yesterday. So
yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
But anyway, and we're really excited because coming out of this, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read issue 64 of Invincible. I got to pause. Okay, now we're gonna say it. Last warning: Adam Eve is not dead.
Right.
Which we're gonna.
You pulled the wool over all of our eyes. I thought you did it.
Well, it's fun because I don't ever give anything away, and so with Adam Eve's death, I spent like a year going, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna kill Adam Eve." I did like a wizard thing where I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna kill Adam Eve." And,
you said it. You told everyone.
All over the place. And so when I did
on Twitter.
When I did it, people were like, "Oh my God, he killed Adam Eve!" And I was like, "What? Come on, guys! What? Come on!" But so that gave my trick away. If I tell you it's gonna happen, it's not really gonna happen.
Right.
But. We're going to explain how she comes back in 65. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Corey Walker is doing 2 issues, 66 and 67. It's going to be focusing on Nolan and Alan the Alien. They're going to be doing all kinds of space stuff that's going to lead into the Viltrumite War, which is going to be the big thing that's going on around issue 75, which is going to be a big double-sized issue. But coming up in early 2010, we're going to be doing Invincible Returns #1. It's going to have a cover by David Finch. Awesome looking stuff. Probably have some variant covers and some gold foil covers and some hollow foil covers and some chromium covers.
It's 1995 all over again.
I wish, buddy. Let me tell you what, everyone else at this con wishes that as well. But and we're going to be bringing Invincible's yellow and blue costume back. We're going to be bringing back the original colors. And so it's going to be a bold new era for Invincible, and then we'll go back to the original numbering the next month. But we're just doing a one-shot, Invincible Returns. It's going to be oversized. It's going to be a story by Corey Walker, and you'll be able to come to my house and I'll read it to you.
Wow, that'd be great.
Sit on my lap.
Love hot cocoa.
Yeah. And I got people that'll act out the voices and stuff. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Well, that's the question, because in the story you've decimated every city. The Earth is screwed at this point. So are you going to send them into space and then come back and everything's going to be fixed? Is that the plan? Or?
Jesus, I'm doing exactly that, you brilliant man. I hate to. Lord, I totally am. I'm admitting that right here. Nice job. Damn, I thought that was like a cool thing.
Subtle thing? No, it's cool.
Well, I'm gonna have some time pass, and it's gonna come back, and there's gonna be some stores to shop at, and some buildings to sit in, and
Cool. All right, and finally,
I guess I'm in a rut.
finally, The Walking Dead continues to roll on.
The Walking Dead.
What can people expect from The Walking Dead?
Jumping the shark.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing now. No,
in midair, you're just getting up to the ramp.
They're going to be getting to Washington very soon, and when they get to Washington, they're going to find a walled-in civilization pocket with politicians and housewives and families, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer. Got Tyrese Gibson over here. I'm changing the game. I'm changing the game. He's like nonstop yelling.
Around him.
Yeah. It's a crazy time over here at the booth. You should videotape that a bit. But actually, I think he's gone now.
I think he's gone. Yeah,
that's why it's a little mellow here.
Yeah. We're trying to bring
that guy's awesome, man. His book is really good. Mayhem. You need to get Mayhem. Tyrese Gibson's a good guy.
That's good.
He killed the GoBots. That's what I like to say to him. But this is running a little long. I can see it in your eyes.
It's expected.
Edit the shit out of this. It's literally like Invincible and Walking Dead are and coming
Comics.
by Image by. So anyway.
Yeah.
They're gonna find what they've always been after. They've been living in this hellish world for 70 issues, and they're going to get to this sanctuary, and it's going to be everything that they've ever wanted.
Yeah.
And they are, some people are going to be able to deal with this, and some people aren't going to be able to deal with this. And it's, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it.
And why do I think that you're building them up to something to go bad?
I'm going to start setting everyone on fire.
They just spontaneously combust.
Yeah, it's just like, oh man, I'm happy. I'm having an ice cream cone, but I think this is a Robert Kirkman comic, and I. So
cool. So you got anything else coming that we haven't heard about?
The Astounding Wolfman is ending.
Oh yes.
We've got a story coming up that has been set in motion since the very first issue. We're going to go back and we'll tell you everything that happened and why it happened, why he was chosen specifically to become a werewolf, and what plans those that caused that had for him. And it's all going to come together in a nice, neat bundle. And I was writing that story, and I was like, I could do something after that, and I just don't really, know if I can top this. And I start thinking about it, and it's like I do all these creator-owned comics, and I do a lot of books a month because I enjoy what I do, and I like to take the time that people spend on hobbies and the time that people spend on their day job and put it together. That's what I tell my wife. Like, I'd be in the basement doing model boats anyway. Like, this is more productive than that. Calm down, lady. But
you're a big model boat guy?
Well, I'm just saying, like some dumb hobby. I'd be out there like whittling wooden ducks or something.
Well, you do that already in the backwoods, right?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
We usually just have bear fights. Yeah. But like grizzlies, Kodiaks. But why are you laughing? Just never been to Kentucky.
Never been. No.
Don't I look like the kind of guy that would fight a bear?
Guns.
They shake when I move them.
You carry a Bowie knife?
Yeah, a Bowie knife. A Bowie knife?
Bowie
Come on,
knife,
man.
Bowie.
Jesus Christ. So where was I? It's a story that I don't think we can top. It's time to exit and go. And I do all these creator-owned books, and I'm starting to realize, like, I have all these other ideas that I want to do. I have other things I want to do with Jason Howard, and if I keep doing everything forever, I'm never going to do anything else. And so I'm clearing that slot, and we're going to be doing something that I'm very excited about, that it's going to blow people away.
Yeah.
It's going to be mayhem. We're going to blow people away.
Mayhem?
What? But yeah, so we're wrapping that up. Is this? Do you move in closer when it's just time to shut the camera off?
No, it goes into hip hop.
Oh,
it's
I
hip hop
see.
mode. That's what.
So anyway, that's all blurry and ruined. But
cool. So it's been a year now at Image with the whole being a partner and all that, and we had your creator-owned brouhaha last year and stuff like that. So now you're a year later. How are you feeling about the industry? How are you feeling about what you're doing at what Image is doing?
Well, I don't know how I feel about the industry because sales aren't doing so hot on the top 20 books, and there's all this talk about the comic books selling less on a whole, and the economy's kind of in the toilet, so that's not good. And retailers are having it real rough out there, and it's not the greatest time in the world for everybody, but Image is going strong.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Chew coming out now, and Viking, and Mayhem, and we got a lot of strong books. We got Image United starting this year, and Haunt, and you know, I got no complaints. I'm happy with everything that we're doing, and I'm really pleased with how Chew is turning out. Chew's a fantastic series. I mean, honestly, I can't say it enough. Like, people really need to understand that Chew is like twice as successful as Walking Dead was at its 3rd issue. Right. And
it's amazing.
It's time to try that book now, because I always hear people from Walking Dead, like, I had to buy like 30 back issues, and it was a giant pain in the ass and pain in the butt. Yep. I don't know, pain in the dick. I'm trying to keep this clean. But yeah, go out and give Chew a try. And Viking is absolutely amazing. We're doing a brand new format. And, a brand new format. The Golden Age format. But
it doesn't fit in my bags and boards.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, I get the special kinds.
But just buy the trade after you buy all the single issues. But Nick Klein is doing the art on that, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Ivan Brandon's writing that. Ivan Brandon does a lot of work at Marvel and DC. Did NYC Mech. Yep. It's a good writer. I could tell a little bit of an exclusive here. We did Walking Dead 63 as a flip book with Chew on the backside. Walking Dead 64 is going to be a flip book with Viking #1 on the backside.
Cool.
So go out. If you're already buying 64, go out and buy 64, and you'll get a little extra for free.
Nice.
So,
and it's staying the same cover price, and
absolutely. It's a big 48-page book. It's got 2 comics in it. It's still $2.99, $2.99, not $3.99 like some assholes are doing. But we can edit that out, right?
Redact.
Sorry, but it's a recession. What are we gonna do? These guys, our fans are having a hard time. It's tough times out there. What better time to raise prices?
Right now.
What? Well, how will we make up for it? I don't know. We'll put some stories I don't want to read in the back. Whatever. No, I don't know. I just pissed off a bunch of people. I'm sure it's all fantastic, but it's all in good fun, right, guys?
Exactly.
Don't interview me on Sunday anymore.
Lesson learned.
That is no.
So, what do you really think?
No.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, we'll let you roll. Thank you so much again, as always.
Are we
It's
gonna
always
end
a pleasure.
on that note?
Well,
here, just give me a hug. Come on.
All right. Now it's weird.
Speaking of how quick DC is to jump in on trends, I just got a letter 10 days ago informing me about our new vouchering system, and I go, finally, electric vouchering. And no, it's a brand new paper vouchering system with carbon papers underneath it. It was like a newfangled thing. Can you believe it?
You gotta truck those in from Ecuador.
Yeah.
They don't make them anymore.
No, they actually have a time machine at DC. They go back in time and get carbon.